All right, so Trump came through pretty decisively and won pretty much all the battleground states: Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, I believe. I think Nevada, although maybe they're still counting that. It looked like he was ahead. Um, Georgia, North Carolina, and I think he was a lot closer in like Virginia and New Jersey. Um, than a lot of people thought. Even, well, maybe not New York, but all of the kind of key battleground states went clearly one direction, right? They went towards Trump. And the whole night, from start to finish, as soon as I started watching any of the data come in or any of the people talking about it, it was just so one sided. It was Trump's doing better than we thought. The whole map's red. Trump's ahead. And they're almost to the point where they're going to like call the state for Trump because he just had such a big lead. So clearly, like a referendum against whatever the Democrats had and kind of the strategy that they took. Right, people, whether it was quietly or whether they, kept. I don't know if they were keeping it to themselves, but they clearly went to the polls and voted for Trump. Some of that just has to do with when you're the party that's not in power, you tend to have more enthusiasm. So 4 years ago, Trump was Trump was the president, and Biden had a little bit more enthusiasm, because COVID, and they weren't in power, the Democrats at that time. So you tend to get more people showing up because they want to change or they want to oust whoever's the president. This time, you have a lot of Republicans and a lot of people maybe in the middle that Biden's done, right? He's removed himself from consideration, so he's done. And then Harris is kind of this wild card where if you really look at her, she didn't win anything in the 2020 process, right? She was elected or selected to be the vice president, in large part probably because of her gender and her race. I mean, let's not kid ourselves, right? That was probably part of the decision-making process. Certainly not all of it, but I think, when these people say, I'm going to select a woman or I'm going to select a minority, I mean, just because you're a woman or you're a minority, that's the reason you should be selected. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, right? It's just not, most people don't really agree with that, right? Let's select you based on your character, based on your performance, based on what you've done, right? I don't care if you're white or black or Indian or Asian. It shouldn't matter, right? If you're competent and you know what you're doing, then you'll be a good choice. If you're not, then you probably won't be. And it doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man or whatever, right? It just doesn't matter. Some people see it like that, where they're like, oh, we want more women, we want more minorities. And I'm not against that, but you should be qualified based on your experience and based on your ability to do whatever the job is, right? So the enthusiasm and support just wasn't there for her. And I think a lot of people had questions about who is she really? What does she really stand for? She she's kind of flip-flopping on a lot of stuff. There wasn't a ton of, like I said, enthusiasm behind her. And Trump totally had the enthusiasm, right? Trump's way more, you like him or you don't like him. But I think a lot of people that were in the middle said, you know what? When I go into this polling booth or I do my mail-in voting, I kind of know what I'm getting with Trump. And I might not agree with him on everything. And I don't necessarily like all the things he says. But I think he'll try to make things a little bit better for average people in this country, right? And with Harris, unless you're just a very strong Democrat, I think you look at Harris and you say, I have no idea what's going to happen with her. I don't know. She wasn't elected. She was put in there by Biden. And then literally 2 to 3 months before the election, Biden drops out and she just gets inserted as the on the ticket. So things just lined up pretty perfectly for Trump to sweep. And I'm not surprised that happened. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen, because he has more enthusiasm. He was the president before. He does all these rallies. He's putting himself out there all the time. He almost got assassinated twice. And again, I don't agree with everything he says. I don't like sometimes his personality, but the guy is totally genuine, right? That's just who he is. So I think a lot of the country that was in the middle, they said, Biden has been in there. Biden is no longer there. Harris is now kind of this person, and we're gonna go for Trump. We're gonna give him another 4 years, right? He can't be president more than 4 years, but we kind of know what we're getting with Trump, and we feel like life under Biden has not been very good, right? Like maybe we need a change, and the average person probably hasn't been doing that well. If you look at inflation, right? Inflation kills people at the bottom, right? Everything's become more expensive for them. Their rent's gone up, their food price has gone up, their transportation cost has gone up, gas has gone up, insurance has gone up, and their wages are probably pretty flat. So it's not a good situation. And you can make all these issues about everything else, about transgender and all these rights that you think are going to be abolished under Trump. That certainly is important to a lot of people, and sometimes it's their number one issue. But most people, they are more concerned about the economy, about how do I provide for myself or for my family. And I think they get a little bit more certainty with Trump. And that's how they leaned. They said, all this other stuff to me doesn't necessarily matter if I have no money, or if I don't have a job, or if I can't provide for my family. I don't care about anything else. I just need to make money. I need to be able to survive. And I think that's the way a lot of people voted. All these other issues, whether you want to get into like being green with the economy, or even immigration to a certain extent, anything that doesn't have to do with the economy, right? They are less important, because people say, I got to make money. I got to have enough resources to live my life. And right now it's not working out well. So I need to vote for this other guy that's going to maybe try to, whether it's lower my tax rate or not tax my tips, or do things that are going to drive down prices, like drilling for oil. That's what would happen, right? If oil prices come down, everything will become cheaper in the economy, because everything gets trucked in, and all those trucks have to use gas and petroleum products. And when the gas price is higher, when the oil price is higher, everything is more expensive. So Trump's going to try to do things like that. Who knows if everything he does is going to work? But I think a lot of people had the sentiment of, whatever we're doing right now is not good for me. So I'm going to vote out this party of Biden, who's already out, and then Harris, who we just don't know anything about. Right? If Harris maybe was a little bit of a stronger candidate, and was going out there and was putting herself out there, and didn't sound completely, some of the time she just sounds like she has no idea what she's talking about. Like, really, this is the person who's the president, or who you guys want to be president? And her personality seems okay, and she's up there laughing all the time. But at some point, you have to start talking about like policy and what you're going to do, or else people just don't know. And they'll go with someone they know, which is Trump, over someone they don't know. And Harris, I think, for a lot of people, didn't, like I said, unless you're just a really strong Democrat, you had some questions about Harris that didn't necessarily get answered. You really had to go searching for answers on Harris. Trump's always putting himself out there, doing all the rallies, answering all the questions, all the video clips, all the crazy stuff he says. Some of that's good and bad, but he's out there. All his stuff is out there. Harris, it's a lot more canned. Like, you just don't know, right? She kind of needs a teleprompter. She kind of needs to be coached on what to say. She can't really necessarily talk off the cuff on all these issues. So I think that was probably the decision for a lot of people to say, you know what? I can't do it. I got to go with Trump. And I think that's why all of these swing states went for Trump. All of these states that were kind of 50-50 were not really 50-50, right? It turned out to be pretty much all for Trump, and a pretty resounding victory for him. So hopefully it'll be good. I mean, again, I think most people's life, for the most part, kind of still remains the same. So there's no point to get really upset or really happy based on who won the election, right? I would have said the same thing if Harris won, because I think if you're just a normal person, you still have to go do whatever you're doing, and you're going to do that regardless who the president is, right? So hopefully things get better for just the country as a whole, and that's what we would wish for under any new president. But we will see. So there you go. You guys let me know what you think. You can subscribe if you want. Have a great day. See you in the next one.